Hello, everybody. Namaste. Welcome. Just cleaning fingerprints off one of my decks. That tends to show a lot of fingerprints. Drives me crazy. And every time I wipe it, it just does it again. So I don't know why. I should just give up on cleaning decks, but I like to have my decks in good shape. Welcome, everybody. Hi, my name is Sadhana. I am an intuitive reader and healer, and this is just one of my happy places. So Fridays at noon on Pacific, I share with you decks. I'm just sitting at my other window here. There we go. Okay. So today I was going to share with you my top oracles of 2021, but there's actually one or two that haven't arrived yet, and I really would love to have the deck in hand as opposed to showing you cards on the screen and not have had the cards in hand. So I'm going to postpone that until I get the other. There's actually two decks I want to have in hand to share with you. And so today I'm going to do Katey Flowers tag, and there have been a lot of people who have done this tag, and if you check in the description box below, you'll see many of the channels that have done this tag already. So I am way behind the party, let's say that, way behind. So today it's kind of interesting because I shared with you a lot of decks the last few Fridays, and Pieces of My Soul that I did Friday evening last week was a very personal sharing, and this was a VR to Kelly Fitzgerald at The Truth and Story. And I was sharing with you 10 Pieces of My Soul tarot decks. And these are all tarot decks that are very reflective of who I am as a human, who I am as a reader, and so forth. Today, I'm sharing with you, if I were, I don't know, packing up and going away for a couple of years, what would I take with me at this point in time in my life? What would I pack up and take with me? Or, for some reason, I could only have access to 10 decks. And to tell you the truth, this wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard of an exercise. I do use a lot of my decks, most of them actually. Tend to rotate them and really enjoy working with them. But this was not hard at all. So I want to just, again, preface what I'm sharing with you. These are, if I was going away or I had to pack up the house or something and I could only take 10 decks with me, which 10 decks would I take with me? And of course, a couple of them I would probably pack up and make sure I had the extra guidebook if I have one. But most of these decks I'm really familiar with, and I don't rely too much on the guidebooks. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. So please, if you're interested in this tag and you're looking for some more amazing decks, check out the description box below, because there have been a lot of people who have done this tag. And there's some really great videos there. And last night I was going through, right? I had to look at all of your faces in order to copy the link to your channel there. So I have, at least I've seen one or two of the decks that you suggested. So that's really wonderful. And I got to know a whole bunch of new people in the process. I've never even seen some of your channels. So it was a good exercise for me. Alrighty, so Elisa was here way before I went live, so I don't know if Elisa is here still, but welcome. Hello. Christine, it's so lovely to reconnect with you. I'm glad you've been here the last few Fridays. That's lovely. Good morning, Liddy. And it's not good morning for me, it's noon. Good afternoon. Vintage Moon, hello. Welcome. And you are one of the channels who did this tag, and I linked your channel below. So thank you so much. Joy of Divination, hello. Hello. And I believe you've done this tag as well too, and hopefully your channel is below. If you've done this tag and I did not put your channel in the description box below, let me know, and I'm happy to edit that and add you to the mix. Mary Beth, good afternoon. Happy post-Thanksgiving. How are you feeling? Did you have a big meal? Always that post-Thanksgiving excess eating thing, right? I wonder how many people. I know Donna's in the US as well too. Hello, hello. Welcome to you. Um, yeah, my family and I, Sarah's in the US as well too. Welcome to Sarah. My family and I, for Christmas and Thanksgiving, the last few years have done either vegan or a vegetarian meal, which has made a huge difference. We still eat way too much food, but there's something about um, the food choices that have definitely made a difference. And I don't make an abundance of desserts. I just make one dessert now. So, and rarely we do even get to that at mealtime. So, but I love cooking large quantities of food. So, isn't that what Thanksgiving and Christmas is all about? Part of it, anyway. Anybody else here? My Heart's Journey, hello, welcome. I think you're new to my channel as well too, and you are one of the lovely souls who's already done this tag. So thank you all for joining me this afternoon. Okay, Donna, my family despairs of me as I'm not a big eater, also vegetarian. Ah, really? Okay. So pumpkin pie. I talked about pumpkin pie yesterday. I was watching, so Kelly was doing some readings, Kelly Fitzgerald, Truth and Story, and lovely deck she was sharing, by the way, 2 decks. And I was talking about making how I make pumpkin pie. And I like to get the Japanese pumpkins, the ones that are about this big and they're green. And the meat of the pumpkin is a little bit denser and drier, and it makes the most beautiful pumpkin pies. It's called kabocha in Japanese, not to be confused with kombucha, which is the fermented cold drink that many people enjoy, not me. Yeah, so pumpkin pie. I'm going to make a pumpkin pie for Christmas for sure. We've had our Thanksgiving weeks ago. Hello to Nancy. Welcome, welcome. Oh, great, great. Vegetarian smell meal with friends, very satisfying. I'm always interested what people have for their vegetarian mains for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I like to make nut loaves. That's one of my favorite things. And yeah, I've made a few different interesting main courses for Thanksgiving and Christmas over the last few years. It's really fun, really fun. Okay, let's get to decks because I know you want to see that. What I have chosen here are, I think there are only 2 oracle decks on the table. So 8 tarot and 2 oracle. And some of these might be a surprise. Some of these might be a surprise. So again, the way that I am approaching this is, hello, Clavis, welcome. These are decks that I would take with me if I could take 10 decks and I was going away for a couple of years, or, you know, and I had space for them. They're decks that I want to continue to work with, and I really, really love working with them. So let's just start with the Marielle Tarot. Hello, Susanna, did I say hello to you? Welcome. The Marielle, I am doing a series now on the Marielle. It's a deck that I've been working with for years, and I feel like I still have a lot to learn from this deck. The series that I'm doing on my channel is for members, and one of the reasons I went to the members feature on my channel is because of the amount of work and commitment it takes to put these special videos together. And so it's been small groups, and I want to say really enjoyable. The replays, of course, will be up forever, but also going back through the Marielle with this deep dive has really given me a chance to make it even I want to say friendlier deck. So I'm just absolutely in love. So this is a deck that I would take with me for sure. I have worked with this deck on so many levels. My personal amazing card is the Nine of Swords. It's a card that comes up all the time for me in readings. There's something about that temple and that walking into the sacred space, liminal space between this world and the other world. So that card is very, very special to me. I have lots of cards that I still ponder about, and this Five of Cups card here with the unicorn on top of the well, and the fact that this Five of Cups is connected to the Three of Cups in this deck, and the emergence of the rivers, and why is the unicorn protecting the well? And there's just so many amazing questions I continue to have in this deck. And the other thing for me about the Myriad Tarot are the wildcats. I have a lot of fire in my chart. In my Chinese astrology as well too, I am a water tiger. And so the temperance card in this deck speaks so loudly to me because it looks exactly like a water tiger. Yeah, so this is a deck that I think I will always have this deck around, and I feel its ferocity as much as its gentleness. Hello, Andrew, welcome. So these decks are in no particular order. These are just 10 decks that without question, I would pack up and take with me, heading off to wherever it is that I'm going. And I feel like it's going to be some little tiny Greek island somewhere in the middle of the Mediterranean, or maybe one of the Seychelles Islands, or I've always wanted to go to one of the islands on the Maldives, in the Maldives as well too, just kind of disappear for a little while into the middle of the ocean. So this is funny. I'm going to show you, because this is who I am and where I am. And I started a personal what's the thing? Very slowly. So this is something I tend to do when I am deciding to really commit to a deck, right? I really take my time with it. And sometimes I only tackle a few cards at a time. And this is funny because I need to get back to this. This has been on my stand for a little while. This is my greenie, the largest version of the Thoth that I have. And I have some cards that are not trimmed. And then I have various other, like these cards all have one side trimmed off. This particular card has two trimmed off. Anyway, I'm going to take the Thoth Tarot with me for sure, because there is so much to learn from this deck. This deck, I purchased a 2-pack. Do you know there's a 2-pack? I think it's called the Complete Tarot Kit. It has an excellent guidebook, by the way. And this was the version of the RWS. So it's a mini plaid back that comes in the kit. And then there's a mini Thoth in that kit as well too. And so at the very beginning, I spent a long time with the mini Thoth and the mini plaid back. These were two decks that and I, my story of the Robin Wood. So, and then eventually I went to the Robin Wood and worked with that exclusively for years. But I have this deep curiosity, and still have yet to feel completely comfortable with the Thoth. I have the Tabula Mundi and M.M. Moline, that other beautiful deck, the Rosetta Tarot. I have a gorgeous version of the Rosetta Tarot with the hieroglyphs on it. And another one of my other connections is an astrologer, a Vedic astrologer who I follow her blog and watch every month. I've shared a lot of her posts. Her name is Ananda Shri, and she always uses this deck. And I feel really empowered by this deck. I love, love, love. I love working with this deck. It is so one of the things I didn't share with you last Friday when I was doing 10 pieces of my soul is I'm a bit of a nerd, you know. I love study. I love, love, love to study. And um, I don't know if this is, I think it's a combination of things, right? So I have this intellectual aspect of myself that needs to be fulfilled all the time. I love reading, I love studying. My bookshelf, I have bookshelves everywhere in my house. So there's this aspect of that. But also, hi Penny, welcome. The other thing too is that it fulfills a spiritual, like the reading that I tend to do is about spiritual journeys, or it heightens my spiritual journey, takes me down these rabbit holes that I love to go. And I don't know, I'm showing you cards. You all know this deck very well. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I just adore this card. I don't know. I don't know. It's just that's the Eight of Pentacles, if you're not familiar. Um, yeah. So there's a practice called Svadhyaya in yoga. Svadhyaya refers to self-study. And this can refer to self-reflection, but also pursuit of any kind of study. I think some of the minors are this Nine of Cups is also extraordinary card. Anyway, and there's so much that we can learn in this deck, and also the pursuit of memorizing an abundance of symbols that aren't in my computer yet. This computer up here. So this is a deck for sure that I'm gonna take with me on that journey. It is absolutely without question. And like I said, these decks are in no particular order, but this was super easy for me to choose 10 decks. If you're coming in late, the first one was the myriad and the second one was the Thoth. Okay. Now the next two decks I'm going to share with you are also tarot decks, and they were both gifts. This is a first edition of the Wild Unknown Tarot. And I was gifted this by a viewer, and I just was so taken aback when I received it. I have several versions of this deck. A mass market version that I am coloring, and I bought the new release, the one with the updated Justice card. I will acquire the pocket one, but there's something about this original version. There's some different things going on here. So for example, this Magician card is misprinted, which I really like. Can you see how the border is uneven? The different cards, the color changes in the original first version, I love. If I can find any of them all. I don't know, and I think one of my connections with Kim Kranz was, no, not one of my connection with Kim Kranz was amplified when I read Blossoms and Bones. She's coming out with a second book, by the way, the part 2 of Blossoms and Bones. Say that quickly 10 times. Blossoms and Bones, Blossoms and Bones. I do have a video about Blossoms and Bones if you haven't seen it or don't know what I'm talking about. But she talks about post-divorce eating disorder, being in an ashram, working through her stuff. It's just an amazing, amazing book. This is the card that was recolored in the new version, so it's very colorful and speaks to the LGBT plus community. It's all colored and it's really lovely. So Kim is a yogi, And I feel, this is a card that's different. I feel the yoga in this deck. I feel her experience with yoga. And why this version? This version I would take with me because, I don't know, it's very special. It's very special. And it's also got that energy of a gift in it. So that's one of the reasons I would take it. If I needed, I don't know, I might take the new one in the pocket, in the new pocket version that's come out in the tin, but I'm definitely going to have a version of the Wild Unknown Tarot with me on my journey. So that's the third one. I saw that Woolly Hermit has come in. And Vintage Moon. Vintage Moon, I'm sorry, I don't think I know your name. I don't have a pen. Oh, yes, I do have a pen. I'm just going to write down your channel name. If you want me to say your name, you can tell me and I will write it in my little list here. Vintage Moon. Tina's here. Welcome to Tina and My Heart's Journey as well, too, if you would like me to write your name down on my list. And Woolly Hermit. Woolly Hermit. It's lovely. It helps me a lot to write down in this list. And Andrew, you'll be very proud of me. I did make a spreadsheet for all of these channel names. And I'm going to make myself or print a little card and laminate it and have it beside me eventually. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Did I say hi to everybody? And Andrew asked if SKT was thought-based. I will talk about that. And I do have the newest version. Yeah, let's talk about that in a little bit. Joey Luna, hello. And you are one of the people that I tagged. So your channel is below as well, too. So welcome. Welcome, Joey. And who else has come in? It's great. Thank you all for being here. Vintage Moon is Sissy. All right. Hello, hello, Sissy. Great. Mel. Who is Mel? Penny's here. Hello, hello. Okay. Tell me who is Mel. I don't know who is Mel. It's probably Woolly Hermit or My Heart's Journey, I'm guessing. Okay. Ready? Ready. Oh, I said, okay. And then I'm going to show you the next one that was a gift as well, too. So the next one, look, this was a gift as well, too. This lovely, it's knit, right? Yeah, knit with tiny, tiny needles, a bag. Mel is Woolly Hermit. Okay, excellent. Got writing that on my list. Mel. Okay, love the bag. So this deck, I had no idea, and I've told you this before, the effect this deck would have on me. I had seeing this, if you don't have this deck and you like the artwork and then eventually you actually get it in hand, it's a different experience. And I'm not kidding. Even these little blue flowers on the back remind me of something from my childhood. And I remember doing a craft with these little blue flowers. And when I saw these, it was like it just brought back all these lovely memories. Pagan Otherworlds. I have no idea what printing this is, but it is one of the earlier printings, I'm assuming, was also a gift. And this deck has a very special place in my heart. It's a world in which I would love to enter. I did eventually go back and buy the little book, but I've looked at it like once. I have no problem reading this deck intuitively. I love the backgrounds on the, love the backgrounds in the pip cards. And the questions that arise with the way the backgrounds, the scenes are set up for the pip cards, it's so very, very clever. And there's a really great connection of images and animals. Like, for example, the bear and the lion and the goat, or the elk, whatever that is. You know, we see these animals again and again, and sometimes we see them as clothing, right? Sometimes we see them as a live animal, and sometimes we see them as clothing. So it's, um, yeah. So this is a deck that it makes me feel, and it's not a deck that I included last Friday, um, but I definitely want to take this deck with me. And, you know, that wasn't part of Katey's tag. It was Katie Flowers' tag was only 10 decks. And I'm not sure what that means to all of you, but that means that these are decks that I want to work with. And no matter where I am and what I'm doing, these are decks that are going to be at this point in my life. I want to have close at hand. Hello, Elizabeth. Okay, so the only name I didn't get was My Heart's Journey. And if that went into the chat, I missed it. But hello, Joel. Welcome to you as well, too. Okay, cool. I'm going to try to keep up. So you are a knitter too. I know there's a few knitters in the crowd. And I noticed also one of the channels that I linked below yesterday is a knitter. And I'm going to go back and look at her channel and see if she's got knitting stuff on her channel as well too. Okay. All right. So that's 1, 2. So the 2 gifts, the Thoth and the Marielle. So that means I should have 6 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do. Yay. Okay, so let's do the 2 oracle decks next. Okay. 2 oracle decks. Soul Trees. And I chose Soul Trees Ascension. Soul Trees, the first one, I love that deck. It has been a big part of readings ever since I got it. And I was quite blown away by this new iteration of the deck. The bold, brilliant colors really, really speak to me. She has, oh my gosh, Allison, right? Allison Williams Yee. The clever use of the chakra colors in this deck are absolutely brilliant. And the keywords, I mean, for me, I don't need the keywords. They are a bonus. Here I'm looking at the lovely pinks and greens and connecting to the heart space. I love this card here. And you know, there's something too I want to talk about. We're going to deal with this a lot in January. In January, I'm teaching, I'm sure you all know about this, but I'll just put a banner up in case you don't. In January, I'm teaching a course called Journey Through the Tarot Through the Chakras. And I'm going to talk about Oracle and Tarot decks. And we're going to go through the chakras one at a time and talk about healing different issues with certain chakras. This particular deck, the first one, this one is newer to me. The second one is amazing, and I love the bright colors, has been really integral in a lot of healing readings that have happened on my channel. Oh, I was going to talk about breathe. Sorry, I lost. Oh my goodness, my brain. So breathe. Breathe is the organ of the lungs. And we have in this card a lot of different directions that we can go with the verb breathe and the color blue. But when I think about breathe, I think about the fullness of breath and the element of air. The element of air is connected to the heart chakra. And in the Satyananda lineage that I am initiated in, the color that Swamiji uses for the heart is blue. And we go in the meditation into the blue lake. And so what Allison has done consciously or unconsciously in this deck has given me a tool that I can speak to with such ease. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So yeah, love it. And there's actually, I believe in this deck, there's some other layers as well too. There's some suits. Yeah. Which I haven't, I mean, I looked at them once, but there's actually some other layers as well. So this is one of 2 oracle decks that are part of my 10. The trees are the lungs of the planet. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. The second oracle deck will come as no surprise. This is an oracle deck that is always, I'm going to say always in my basket. For me, this oracle deck has been the most versatile deck in my collection. Now, I love plant oracles because I love working with plant medicine. But this deck, there's just something about its versatility. And Lauren and Tegan did such a great job matching the artwork with the keywords. And I never grow tired of looking at this deck. I like it better than Roots and Wings. I just find it incredibly inspiring. It is deep. Sometimes it's funny. It's definitely nurturing, nourishing. I have removed the chakra cards. I do not use the chakra cards. It's illuminating. And somebody said it's going mass market, or I know the French version is mass market. But this is, I would always have this deck with me. This would be a deck that I would use as a single card pull for somebody, you know, who was looking for some comfort or some guidance, for sure. Okay, let me get rid of that banner. Yeah. So, and you know, if you're, oh gosh, just so many great cards. So many. You are exactly where you need to be. Yeah. Okay. I lost the chat. The chat is buried. Good point, Joel. Joel says, what about the algae? They produce more oxygen in the ocean than trees. But metaphorical trees are the lungs of the planet. So beautiful. Yes. And I'm deeply connected to the ocean. I've shared lots of stories. You know, I'm so happy that I live near the ocean. And right now where I am in Canada, it's a little cool to go swimming, but once it warms up a little bit in May, I will be back in the water, May through September. Okay, I have 4 more left, and I'm going to go next to this deck. I think John Williams' book. So John Williams, in case you don't know this, Emily Carding was taking a course with John Williams. And it was that course that was the inspiration for this deck. And I believe she talks about that at the beginning of this book. I'm pretty sure that she does somewhere, somewhere in the introduction. John Williams' book on the she, where he talks about going underground and into this sacred place and connecting with the glyph of the she, is an incredible book. And I want to say that my work with that book, meditations with the glyph, have definitely amplified my appreciation for this deck. I'm also a person that deeply connects to the elements, and I tend to respond quite emotionally to these cards. I know this deck really well, but yet still there are images or there's little corners of images. Sometimes I notice new things. And I'm just looking at this Temperance card, and I as I was just glancing at it now, I'm reminded of an hourglass. And if you saw this as an hourglass, how might that shift your interpretation of this card? And I think this is one of the decks that will never be very far away. Much like the Marielle Tarot, I feel like I still have things to uncover in this deck. And I have never done that. I've never pulled out all of the cards that have this kind of hourglass look to them. This is definitely a deck of awakening. There's several cards that speak to the awakening of the third eye chakra. And in the suit of air, we have the very powerful Ace of Air, the Dreamer, and then that amazing 10 of Swords. And I did share this deck with you, I believe, last Friday. It's a deck that gives me a tremendous amount of power. It makes me feel connected. And I also have an affinity for elemental beings. I've always felt very connected to them. And so this is a deck that is it's very special to me. And I love working with it, with others as well as personally. Yeah. Tarot of the She by Emily Carding. That deck came out in 2010. Wow, so it's 11 years old. Okay. Now, I hummed and hawed about a Tarot de Marseille. And if I could only take one Tarot de Marseille from my collection, which one would I take? And that was really hard because I have quite a few very special decks. And some of them I like particular cards. But there's something about La Corte dei Tarocchi that I did a video sometime back about what Tarot de Marseille does for me. And there's something about the old world look of this deck. I particularly like the suit of discs. I feel quite transported in this deck. And last week I was sharing with you my time traveler deck was the Tildwick Tarot. But I feel like if I'm going away, I definitely need to have one of these decks with me. And this is the one that I chose. It's really beautiful. And the feel of the paper. I'm a very sensual like the senses. I'm a very sensual person, so the feel of the paper, the way the sounds that the deck makes when I'm shuffling, all of those things are really, really important. And I love the muted colors. The color palette is just absolutely gorgeous. So this is the Tarot de Marseille that that is in my 10 decks. I'm going to pack up. Hello to Molly. Hello to Molly. Welcome. All right. And I see a little bit of shopping is happening here as well too. Okay, so that is 8 decks. There's 2 more left. And I don't believe these last 2 decks you have ever seen on my channel. Maybe one of them you have, maybe once. So this is going to be a bit of a surprise for those of you that think you know me. I'm going to tell you a story that I probably have shared before. So not Ananda Shri, Ananda Shakti, who is a yogini who does karmic past life readings. I've had several past life readings with her. And the most recent one, which was a long time ago, like 7 years ago, there was something about bees that kept coming up. And she kept seeing me working with bees and being surrounded by bees. And it was around that time that I started making candles and connecting with the bees through the wax. But I don't have bees on I don't have property. I don't have bees. But there's just something about what she said in that reading that really, really hit home. Now, one of my other yoga teachers was healed by bees. So she had been, what's it called? What's it called when you have, I forget what it's called. Anyway, she was unable to get pregnant. And she was at the ashram in India, and she was in a garden meditating and was stung by no fewer than 100 bees, maybe many, many more. And of course, almost died. And she was in the ashram looked after by several enlightened beings, let's just say that, awakened beings. And she was healed. And then it was during her in her delirium that she connected with Swamiji on the other side. So the leader of Satyananda, Swami Satyananda on the other side. And they had this conversation, and she said that she would do whatever he needed her to do if he could find her an amazing life partner and she could have a child. And after that incident, she found her life partner, who is amazing, Param Jyoti, and had a baby. So I don't know, this when I saw when the wisdom of the sacred, it's not wisdom of the sacred bee, is the oracle deck, which isn't in our hands yet. But when I saw the Sacred Bee Tarot, the Journey of the Sacred Bee Tarot come out, I knew right away this was a deck that I had to have. And there were a few decks that I ordered early on, This one is a Kickstarter, 207 of 840. So you know that I ordered that right away. But there's another story about why it didn't come into my hands. I'm just holding this deck makes me feel happy. The colors, I love this turquoise color. It reminds me of swimming in the Pacific on a small island. The paper texture is absolutely extraordinary. And if, I just love the sound that the cards, when I love that back bridge sound. It's one of my favorite things. So anyway, I've only had this deck a very, very short time. This is a deck that is loaded with symbols as well too. And in the collage art, there are lots and lots of things that I have yet to discover. But this is one of my 10 because I feel like I have a higher purpose for connecting with the bees. I definitely have a higher purpose for connecting with the bees. And not only that, but the art in this deck is really, really beautiful. It really is. And this color palette, holy cow. I mean, this is very similar color palette to this oracle that I showed you. And so maybe, how about if I do this? I will do a 3-card reading with 1 soul tree and 2 of these at the end. That's what I would like to do. So this is my number 9 deck. And I have worked with this very, very little, but I cannot tell you what I feel when I look at these cards and hold these cards. Yeah, and I cannot wait for the oracle to arrive. And I've actually ordered a 2nd copy of the oracle to gift to a very dear friend who would benefit from its healing properties. Yeah. I love that the astrological symbols are included in this deck. And this one follows a Thoth. So the Marielle and this deck have a slightly different, have a different system. And I am okay with that. I mean, just look at this Ace of Fire. Just look at that. And the sacred geometry. I'm a sucker for sacred geometry as well, too. I remember a temple I was in Madurai, and one of the priests that was with us was talking about the sacred geometry and the way the temple was laid out. And if you stood in certain places, you could feel, different vortexes and energy. And yeah, I really, really do have a thing for sacred geometry. So this is my number 9. And like I said, there's no order to these decks. Yeah. Okay. You have the oracle already? Sissy, have you received your oracle already? Because I haven't received mine. This one. This is it's a little Shiva Lingam. If this is the one you're talking about. Andrew. Okay. Well, I'm really, really excited to have it in hand. Okay, so drum roll. Last deck, number 10. And like I said, this wasn't hard. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I told you I am a nerd. And so my number 10 book is the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. And I was just, as I was sitting, I was actually already early today. I was, because Lulu has a 30% off for Black Friday, I ordered the journal and the large guidebook for this deck, the colored version. And so I just ordered that. And I was rereading through here, and oh my goodness, the fact that, I mean, the layers that are built into this deck, you know, like this deck was not colored, you know, it wasn't colored like this. If you don't know about this deck, it's extraordinary. The way that it was colored, the fact that it brings together the energies, the mystical, esoteric energy from all over the world. And it holds such a high frequency. It's almost freaky. And I don't know if, I don't know how long it's going to take me to anyway, I'm going to do what Annabelle, sorry, big pause. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get familiar with this deck, but I'm going to do what Benabelle suggested, and that is to do a single card pull every day and to take my time with all of the symbols and to learn the symbols. And then if I do so down in the bottom left corner of each card is a trigram, and to also bring in the energy of the trigrams. And I don't have a book of changes, but I do have that other oracle deck that has the mini book of changes in it. So I'm absolutely fascinated with this whole thing. The other thing that really, I think this is so clever, so clever. And I do not have other versions of the Spirit Keeper Tarot. This is my only version. I wish I had the Vitruvian edition. I love the coloring in the Vitruvian edition. But these 3 Fool cards all have different intentions. And Benabelle's intention, if you're not aware, is that you choose the Fool card based on the type of question that you're asking. And so if you are doing a mediumship reading, then your Fool card, your significator, is going to be the Keeper, because that is the energy of the Keeper, right? Very different from the Initiate or the Seeker. And the Seeker card is so beautiful. I can just imagine being in those halls, right? And this is much like the Spacious Tarot. Don't you feel like that kind of energy, right? So you are walking into this hallowed place. So I'm really, really kind of, I don't want to say I'm overwhelmed. I am so excited about working with this deck and to finally have a copy of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot in hand, because it's going to be one of those decks for all time, and it's going to be a deck that takes years and years to integrate. And the other thing about this deck is that because it is infused with so much divinity, I feel like it's going to fuel my High Priestess, supercharge my High Priestess. That's what I feel like. So I'm really, really excited to make this deck one of my 10. And if I were to only work with these 10 decks for the next 10 years, it wouldn't be long enough. And I have to say that if there are any of you in the chat who are brand new to tarot, my best piece of advice is slow down. Slow down, stop acquiring decks, and really get to know the decks that you are working with. You know, like creating relationships with decks is important. It's really important. I almost forgot. I said I was going to do a reading. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So I'm going to pull one soul tree and two tarot cards from Journey of the Sacred Bee for the collective on this 26th day of November. Let's just look and see where the moon is. What's the moon doing on this 26th day of November 2021? Ooh, okay, so we're going from, the moon is transitioning from Leo to Virgo. What time? Tonight. So tonight the moon is moving into Virgo. What else is going on in the sky? So the moon, the energy of the moon is waning. We're moving towards the new moon. Let's just have a look and see when that is. Sorry, I'm just looking at my little wee moon here. I feel like, what's going on here? Okay, so we just had the full moon, so we're 2 weeks. Yeah, we're a ways away from the new moon. Okay, so we're not even at the quarter moon. Okay, so we are in a disseminating. Okay, I just need to get this picture in my head of what the moon is doing. It helps me to. I haven't been outside at night focusing on the moon. We've had some pretty crazy weather here. In British Columbia, the rain is still coming down, down, down. It's been alarming. We are in a state of emergency in British Columbia. We have gasoline rationing, in case you didn't know. We're only allowed to put 30 liters of gas in our tanks. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to let that go. And this is a reading for the collective. As the moon moves into Virgo this evening, and her energy and her light becomes a little dimmer. As we move into the holiday season as well too, I want to bring that energy forward. What is it that we would all benefit from deepening our awareness around? Okay, so 1, 2. Yes, leading up to a solar eclipse. My life has felt very eclipsy, to say the least, this last few days. Okay, so the Oracle card, look at this root chakra, slightly Swadhisthana chakra energy here. Okay. And the keyword is authenticity. We have those spiraling, the wheel, right? The spiraling. This feels very Swadhisthana to me. Okay, so Swadhisthana chakra, second chakra, sacral chakra. The idea with authenticity is that, and I'm also thinking about Black Friday as well too. I don't know this is very North American centric kind of perception, but there's a in this season there's a sense of, and I know you are all high frequency people, and so your tendency isn't to to grab, excessive shopping and so forth. That awareness of, and food as well too, and different things that happen at the holidays, and perhaps one of the most important lessons of authenticity in relation to the sacral chakra has to do with what is the truth of your joy. Okay, so what is your authentic joy? The right of the second chakra is joy. We all have a right to live in joy. And so, how does that look for you in balance? What brings a smile to your face and yet doesn't make you feel sick, doesn't make you feel out of whack? So, there's a need for authenticity in joy. And the other really loud message that's coming through is that the authenticity of your joy is not necessarily what makes other people feel joyful. So this might come through family traditions or expectations that are outside of your comfort zone. So it's really important at this time that you check in with your authentic joyfulness. Okay? Can you feel what I'm laying down here? Hey there, Jamie and Jonathan. Namaste. Welcome. So yeah, so see if you can wrap your, I want to say wrap your pen around that, to really to put that down in your journal for tonight and think about my authentic joyfulness and how I can truly embrace that. Okay, now let's go to the tarot cards and see how that is supported. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. This is so good. This is so good. Okay, so let's think about the sweetness and the excessiveness of the devil. All right, I want you to think about your favorite Kernunos card where somebody is luxuriating in the grass and being held and just feeling so held and seen, and the beautifulness of connection with, now it can be connection with another, it can be connection with whatever sensual experience makes you feel joyful. But let's keep it in balance. Let's keep it authentic. Let's keep it meaningful for you, right? If you're I'm thinking of, like, if your friends are doing tequila shots and tequila shots don't make you feel joyful, you don't need to do tequila shots to fit in. This is about authentic joyfulness. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Do you have, so some of you are guessing what this other card is. That's hilarious. Okay. Joey thinks it's going to be the sun or something. It's the Chariot. You know what I got here? I feel like this is about you being okay with being different and breaking away out of the mold a little bit. And I see you kind of laughing as you do that. And so something arises tonight. Something arises with with your family, and you actually have the courage to suggest doing it differently. Isn't that amazing that we have these two majors that are so empowering? This is great. This is such an important message for those who are, like the holiday season is not easy. And so being authentic is so very, very important. And having the courage to celebrate in a way that feels right for you and being okay with breaking the mold, I think is it's what I need to hear. It's definitely what I need to hear. Yeah, beautiful. I love all your other insights as well too. Molly says speaks of such a balance with CAP and cancer. Beautiful. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Well, I hope you've had as much fun. I hope you've had as much fun as I have had today. Thank you so much for being here and sharing these decks with me. And I am feeling like maybe, maybe my the next challenge is to put away everything else and to work with these 10 decks. Maybe not for 10 years, but yeah, I'm feeling like that would be really good medicine for me. I will have to think about that. Okay. So enjoy your weekend, and I will see some of you on Tuesday. Take good care of yourselves, and thank you so much for being here today. Namaste.